It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, she could and should have been saved. A family speaks out after their daughter drowned at a water park. Kyra Hill died at Liquid Leisure near Windsor in 2022. She was found almost 2 hours after she went missing, with lifeguards only qualified to perform surface rescues, not underwater ones. Today, a coroner ruled Kyra was unlawfully killed following gross breaches in health and safety. Coming up, I'll speak to Kyra's parents, who are demanding change to ensure what happened to Kyra is never repeated. Also tonight, a step change in the UK's position on Israel's war in Gaza. Talks that a trade deal had been suspended, and the Israeli ambassador summoned to the Foreign Office with a blog on aid to Gaza branded cruel and indefensible. We'll get the latest from Westminster. Plus, overwhelming online support. I'll speak to the father of Lily McGarry, a student who lost all 4 limbs when she fell ill with septicemia. Her family say she wouldn't be here if her housemates hadn't realised her flu-like symptoms were something far more serious, and they want others to know how to spot the signs. And what's being billed as the richest match in football will go live to Bilbao to speak to fans of both Manchester United and Spurs ahead of tomorrow night's Europa League final. Well, that's come and much more here on the UK Tonight. But first tonight, the parents of an 11-year-old girl who drowned at a water park in Berkshire have told the UK Tonight that the government must act to ensure her death can never be repeated. Kyra Hill died after getting into difficulty in a designated swimming area at Liquid Leisure near Windsor in 2022. She was found underwater almost 2 hours after she disappeared. Today, a coroner ruled Kyra was unlawfully killed, with gross breaches of health and safety contributing to her death. Coming up, I'll be speaking to Kyra's parents, but first, our correspondent Molly Malone has the story.
Kyra Hill was 11 years old when she drowned at a water park. For almost 3 years, her family have been grieving, waiting for answers. Today, they were in court to hear a coroner rule their daughter was unlawfully killed.
Our beloved Kyra was a remarkably strong swimmer and exceptional, a true champion in the water. Yet despite her strength, her life was tragically cut short.
Kyra had been in the lake at the water park at a birthday party, swimming in what was a designated area. The only warning signs were to alert people to shallow water, nothing to indicate the depths Kyra was swimming in. At points, the lake was over 4.5 metres deep. It took nearly 40 minutes for emergency services to be called. Kyra wouldn't be found for over an hour after that call, in water that had poor visibility. The search was described as a nightmare. The coroner ruled that Kyra was unlawfully killed because of what she said were gross breaches of health and safety measures and a lacking risk assessment at the water park, all which contributed to her death. It's evidence which the coroner said would have been incredibly difficult for the family to hear.
Thank you.
Fighting back tears in court, Leonard Hill described his daughter as a beautiful beacon of light who thrived in nature. To stop future deaths, he says he wants to see water parks be regulated.
The terrible reality is that without urgent reform, more families will face these devastating goodbyes. Kyra's life was a shining example of resilience and strength. Her memory demands that we demand safer standards now.
Liquid Leisure, the company that ran the water park, say the incident was taken seriously. They were fined £80,000 last year for failing to ensure Kyra's safety. In a statement, they said, Liquid Leisure has been operating for over 20 years and has welcomed hundreds of thousands of visitors during that time. Whilst we acknowledge the conclusions reached by the coroner, nothing is more important to us than the safety of our visitors. We want to reiterate our deepest sympathies to Kyra's family and all those impacted by this tragedy. Kyra was described by her dad as a spirited young girl who stood up for what she believed was right. It is now her family who are campaigning to prevent others from losing a loved one like this. Molly Malone, Sky News.
Well, after the coroner returned her conclusion this afternoon, I spoke to Kyra's father, Leonard Hill, and her mother, Heather Parker. They described the unimaginable moment when they learned their daughter was missing.
It's the most disturbing phone call I've ever received in my life. It is the most disturbing phone call that Kyra is underwater. Kyra is missing. My immediate response was, there's no way she would have gone off. There's no way she would have walked off. Kyra is an obedient child. She's very disciplined, self-disciplined. She would never have walked off and left her group, never have walked off and left her crowd. The moment I got that phone call, I was hoping that Kyra was washed up on a bank somewhere and safe and breathing. I would never have imagined that she went down in the same spot and she was left there in that same spot for nearly 2 hours. I would never have imagined that. But it would make sense because it backs up what I say is that she would never have gone anywhere. She would never have left anywhere. It's a horrible call. It's a horrible call to receive. I can remember it like it was yesterday. But to hear that your daughter is underwater, you're searching online, how long can somebody survive underwater? How long, and you can see that within 10 minutes, they could potentially come out brain damaged. But there is still a chance of survival. I remain of the stance that she could have been saved and she should have been saved. And had Liquid Leisure had emergency plans in place, Kyra would have been saved. And she wasn't. And that's very sad. It's very sad.
Liquid Leisure cooperated fully with the investigation and the inquest. Away from that side of it, away from the legal side of it, have they been in touch with you personally?
Liquid Leisure have never been in touch with me personally. Never been in touch with myself or Kyra's mother personally. Never have sent us a word of condolences. Not even an email. Not even an email to say sorry for your loss. Nothing. And I find that very distasteful of them. A young girl has died on your premises, 11 years old, where she should have been safe. And you've acknowledged some of your failings. But to turn around and just do the gracious thing and apologise to us.
Yeah, there's no natural.
It wouldn't have brought Kyra back, but it would have showed a small source of remorse. And they have not done that. And still to this day, they have not done that.
Yeah, you've spoken about the fact that you want the government to make these attractions safer for children, for families. It's up to the coroner to refer this back to the police for further investigation and then any potential prosecutions. Is that something that you want to see?
Nothing is ever going to bring Kyra back. What I would like to see is the change implemented by those in power who have the power to make these changes. There has been mention during the inquest that these things are happening all over the country. The laws or the regulations surrounding these leisure parks or aqua parks don't actually exist. So we need them to exist. Summer is more or less upon us, and children will want to go out and have fun in water parks, and they deserve to. But they need to do it knowing that they are safe. That they can be rescued by divers, lifeguards. If their life's ever in danger in that water, that should be the number one priority to retrieve that person from the water in a good time span. So I'm grateful to the coroner, Heidi Connor, for exposing a lot of these failings that have led to the death of Kyra. And had she not called on this inquest, many questions would have still been left unanswered.
I want to end by talking about your daughter, Kyra, Heather and Len, if I may, because Heidi Connor, the coroner, said in all this, it should not be forgotten. This is about your Kyra, an 11-year-old girl who supported Manchester United and who dreamt of a career in law. Heather, can you tell me about Kyra? Because this is about her And I know Len has spoken so eloquently about the drive for change that now fuels you both after Kyra's death.
Kyra was just happy, you know, she was always happy, always active from the moment she woke up, you know, she was just a little bundle of joy, you know, like just always positive. She was loving, you know, like so loving. She always wanted to help people, do what was right.
Kyra was my princess. She was the perfect child. She did everything right. She made me so proud. I look at Kyra's pictures every day, and it breaks me. It breaks me. I have to stand at her graveside and speak to Kyra now, and that breaks me. I had to bury Kyra. Going over those days is sickening. Now, when hot summer days come, that's all that comes back into my mind. But Kyra, she would have wanted change. She would have wanted to know she has not died in vain. She would be smiling from the heavens to know that the laws have changed and no children are going to be in the danger that she was in and suffered the fate that she suffered.
The government has suspended free trade talks with Israel and summoned its ambassador for addressing down over what has been described as an indefensible aid blockade and renewed offensive in Gaza. And Israeli settlers blamed for violence against Palestinians in the West Bank have also been sanctioned.
We're horrified by the escalation from Israel. We repeat our demand for a ceasefire as the only way to free the hostages. We repeat our opposition to settlements in the West Bank. And we repeat our demand to massively scale up humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The recent announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza, a basic quantity, is totally and utterly inadequate. So we must coordinate our response, because this war has gone on for far too long. We cannot allow the people of Gaza to starve.
Well, let's go live to our chief political correspondent, John Craig. And John, it's worth reflecting on this shift in Westminster, particularly when it comes from the Prime Minister and government on Israel.
From David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, after the PM statement on his big summit yesterday, it was Mr Lammy's turn, and he did a long statement also on what he called a new dark phase in the Middle East. And he had some very tough words, much stronger language than we've heard from either Mr Lammy or the Prime Minister. And clearly, patience is running out. The Foreign Secretary called Israel's actions in stopping aid getting through and all the bombardment and so on egregious. Now, there were points during his long statement when some backbenchers, presumably Labour left-wingers and some of the independent MPs shouted genocide, well, you won't hear that word being used by Sir Keir or Mr Lammy. But after the strong words of condemnation from Mr Lammy, he made these three announcements. One, he said, we've suspended negotiations with the Israeli government on a new free trade agreement. Now, that's significant because, of course, we've been talking about trade agreements the last week or so. India, United States, now the European Union. Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, was saying not that long ago that a free trade deal with Israel was a priority. Well, the government's not saying that now, obviously. Number two, the Minister for the Middle East, that's Hamish Falconer, summoned the Israeli ambassador to the Foreign Office. That's Zippy Hotovely. And number three was the sanctioning of more people. Now, Mr Lammy said in his statement that 7 people were sanctioned back in October, but there've now been another 7 more, 3 individuals, 4 entities he talked about. Now, one of them is a woman called Danielle Weiss. She's been described as the godmother of the settlements, and she has been bitterly criticised by the Foreign Office over her actions there. So she's been sanctioned. Now, I have to say that the response from Mr. Lamy has met with defiance from the Israeli government because the Israelis said in response to Mr. Lamy's statement, they said this: "The British mandate ended exactly 77 years ago. External pressure will not divert Israel from its path in defending its existence and security against enemies who seek its destruction." Well, as we've heard from Sir Keir Starmer, he talks about a collective coordinated response. Last night, he issued a statement along with President Macron and Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. And what clearly the PM is hoping for is more action, similar action from other, perhaps EU countries and other nations as well, to really pile the pressure on Israel. Not meeting with a favourable response yet. In the Commons today, there were calls for what John McDonnell called a coalition of the willing. He said, you're doing this in Ukraine. Why not we have the same to get the aid into Gaza? So that obviously is one of the priorities. Mr. Lamy was talking about the trucks being ready to go in. But despite the actions and the words from Mr. Lamy and indeed the Prime Minister, Israel is remaining defiant, and there is no hint of any progress, really. The Israelis are still determined to, as their statement says, defend their country against enemies who seek its destruction, as their statement says.
And John, some breaking news this evening, some sad news, the death of former MEP and journalist Patrick O'Flynn.
Yes, I mean, we're all shocked because many of us knew Patrick O'Flynn very well. Patrick was, I first knew Patrick, he was a young political reporter in the Parliamentary Press Gallery, started at Birmingham Mail, as I recall, went to the Express. He was political editor, as I recall, of the Sunday Express and the Daily Express. Overlapped with me a little bit when I was there on those two papers. But then he became, as you see there, a UKIP banner behind him. He became an MEP. He was a great supporter of Nigel Farage. And he became a UKIP MEP 24 to 2019. He later defected to the SDP. Yes, it's still going. But this is an absolute shock. He got cancer very quickly and has died very, very quickly, only 59 years old, and a shock to both political journalists and indeed politicians. Now, I can tell you what Nigel Farage has said in the last few minutes in tribute. Mr. Farage has said, "So sad to hear of the passing of Patrick O'Flynn. Paddy was a great journalist, a great thinker, a great patriot, and a titan of our joint cause. Thank you, Paddy." And a couple of minutes ago, we have heard from Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative Party leader, who has said, "This is dreadful news. I can't quite believe it. My husband and I always enjoyed Patrick's company. He often messaged me with thoughts on politics. We'd agree on substance, then argue over tactics. I teased him about being a secret lefty. My goodness, he loved his country. Sad, sad news to end the day." So from all of us at Sky News, condolences obviously to his widow, and it's a shock to political journalists and to politicians who knew Patrick O'Flynn.
John, thank you. John Craig there, our chief political correspondent there in Westminster. Now, Manchester United and Tottenham fans have descended on Bilbao in Spain ahead of tomorrow night's Europa League final. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris is there. And Rob, they are calling this the richest match in football.
Yes, this match could be worth £100 million because neither Tottenham nor Manchester United finished in the Champions League qualification places in the Premier League, and this is the only way back in to the European Elite competition by winning the Europa League. In fact, they did so badly in the Premier League. It's their worst ever seasons in the Premier League era. Both teams just right above the relegation zone. Unprecedented for Manchester United, a record number of defeats this season, 18. Just been hearing now here in Bilbao from their manager Ruben Amorim, and he's been believing his own position is safe regardless of this outcome. But United are winless in 8 matches. They are facing a Tottenham side on a similarly miserable run, only 1 win in 10 in the Premier League, but they've both been successful in Europe, and that's why fans do have some hope here. But what an invasion of fans it is here in Bilbao. It's a city with about normally a population of about 340,000, but that 50,000 seat stadium here is going to be packed with the Tottenham and United fans who've tried to get here by any means. It's pretty pricey, flight prices have gone up, the city is pretty full, but so many fans here in the square been determined to be here. And with some of them now, John, Joe, you're live on Sky News. Why did you want to be here despite the season being so miserable?
Where's that air? Friends, come on. Sorry, say that again.
Why did you want to be here for this game?
Been a lifelong Man United fan. Been supporting them since 1976. Can't wait for tomorrow night.
Is this the worst you've ever seen them?
Yes. But there's hope.
What gives you hope?
Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, they're the players tomorrow night.
And, you know, you've been following them through so many of the painful moments this season. Did you think Ruben Amorim could turn things around?
I think he can. Right recruitment in the summer, I think he can with his system. It needs some time, but I think he can do it. I think he can, definitely.
So what matters more to you? Winning the Europa League or getting in the Champions League with all that money that could be spent on players and all the financial challenges?
You can argue both, because winning the Europa League gets the Champions League with the money, but I think the trophy adds that extra little boost, that extra motivation to push on.
And you've won trophies the last couple of seasons, so despite no Premier League trophies since 2013, you're still getting the other cups.
This could be 3 on the trot. You never know.
And how important do you think that money is? You know, it's potentially one of the richest games in football.
It's huge for the club, huge.
Because you need to rebuild the squad,
We
spend on it.
do. And we will. It's Man United. They never die.
You're there thick and thin.
Absolutely.
How hard was it to get here?
Very difficult and very expensive.
It's not the easiest places.
Not the easiest.
Yeah. Let's have a quick chat to Raymond and George. Was it hard for you to get here to Bilbao?
Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad. Dublin in the Santander Rob and then back out of Biarritz. So booked it a couple of months ago. We were confident we would get here, but don't know if we're overly confident tomorrow, but hopefully we can do it.
What's it been like for you watching United this season?
They haven't been amazing, but I'm happy that they're here. They've played really well in Europe, so I have lots of confidence that they come in tomorrow. So,
who's your favourite player?
At the minute, probably Bruno. He's been really good. Or Maguire.
Oh, Maguire scored the important goal, didn't he, recently? And that's a shirt from the era when United were winning Premier League so many times.
Yeah.
Do you hope you'll see them win it one day again?
Yeah.
What about you? Have you got the confidence tomorrow?
Hey, well, I wouldn't know over the way the season has went, Rob. I wouldn't be overly confident, but Spurs haven't had a good season. A couple of players, Lenny Euro back, Dallo back, and Xerxes. Hopefully we can nick it 2-1.
Bit of a clash of mediocrity.
Yeah, more or less. That's
Yeah.
it. 17th, 16th.
Yeah, enjoy the game. Well, reflecting now on the fact these two teams are right above the relegation zone. Fortunately for them, there's 3 worse teams who've already secured their relegation. But tomorrow night, one of Manchester United or Tottenham could land a piece of silverware and end up in the Champions League as a result. And the Basque Country is getting busier with a lot of fans.
OK, Rob, well, I've probably got a lot of Tottenham fans shouting at the TV going, where are the Spurs fans? You only interviewed Manchester United fans. I'm going to send you off to find some, and we'll come back to you before the end of the show to get the Spurs perspective, OK?
We'll go searching.
Great stuff. Off you go. Right, Rob Harris there in Bilbao, Spain. Still to come here on the UK Tonight, those Spurs fans, of course. And the medical student who lost all her limbs to sepsis. I will be speaking to her dad, with the family issuing an appeal to others. Stay tuned.
we've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
The family of a medical student who lost all 4 limbs due to sepsis say they are overwhelmed by the support of online fundraisers as she begins her rehabilitation. 23-year-old Lily McGarry spent more than 100 days in intensive care, having suffered 2 heart attacks and losing both arms and both legs as NHS medics fought to save her life. Well, now Lily is looking forward with the support of her family and the friends who spotted her flu-like symptoms for what they really were. I've been speaking to Lily's dad, Stuart, who began by telling me what happened.
I've spoken to the friends that she shares a house with. She's studying to be a doctor. They're also medical students. And Lily said she felt really unwell and was presenting flu-like symptoms, and they obviously know, because they're medical students, what to look out for. But then there was a bit of a change in the afternoon where she started to deteriorate, and she didn't pass any urine that day. That's a sign of sepsis, by the way, if your viewers want to take note of that. Also, she did lose control at some point, and then she vomited a clear fluid, and then they thought, right, this is more serious.
Yeah. It all happened so quickly within the course of 24 hours. You got a call from the hospital and you were in Jersey.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through that?
Well, it's a call that, that no father wants, really. They said that I should come over to Cardiff, that Lily was really unwell, and I said, well, I'll pack a bag and get a flight tomorrow, and the senior nurse said, no, you should be here now. And her mum was in Australia when she received the call, so she would have had the flight from hell to come back all the way from Australia to Cardiff.
As I said, this all developed so quickly. You go to the hospital not knowing what you're going to find there. Lily fighting for her life, incredible care from the team at University Hospital Wales. She spent 2 weeks in a coma and began to show signs of recovery. But multiple brain, spleen and liver examinations meant that the long-term effects were uncertain. And she had issues with blood flow because of the sepsis. And then there was a really difficult conversation to be had with the staff about what would happen to Lily's limbs.
Yeah, there was a lot of very difficult conversations. You could see by the dressings the extent of the damage. And the NHS were fantastic, by the way, from the amazing quality of care, the compassion. Yeah.
They saved her life.
Above and beyond, yeah.
Yeah.
She did survive, she did pull through, and she was moved from from Cardiff Hospital to Morriston Hospital. Again, fantastic, incredible quality of care. But they did start to talk about, the word that I struggle to say, amputation.
And this was both legs and both arms. Lily, an avid swimmer, runner and surfer.
Yeah.
These were integral parts of her life, as well as her studies, her friends and family. The physical injuries are there, but to wake up in a new body, for Lily, what was that like? And for you, as a dad, what was that like?
Well, I think she's out of intensive care now after 113 days, and she is in the rehabilitation section. The narrative's changed to the body that she has got and what she can do with it. And I had a wobble a couple of weeks when I was in front of her and tearful. I'm an emotional dad, obviously, but... And she looked me in the eye and she said, Dad, I will make the best of my stumps. And she owned the word stumps. And she'll be OK listening to this.
I know she's watching tonight.
And from that, I got a lot of strength, because I thought, my God, I think she's got this.
Yeah. Lily is reaching the end of her recovery phase, and now the focus very much on rehabilitation. And I know that from what you've told me, there are good days and bad days, as you would well imagine, with something of this nature happening to you. Can you talk to me about the rehabilitation? Because I'm sure there is a conversation now about prosthetics. Advances in support and prosthetics now are so good. And I know that that's a hurdle to come for Lily, but it's something that you're already planning for.
The funding is going very well. There is a GoFund page for her. People have been very generous. So there's that, and that will give Lily that choice down the road. At the moment, though, we're focused more on the present.
The small steps before you get to those big decisions.
Getting her wounds to heal. That's the kind of time frame we're on. The prosthetics, which she's trying now, are just little ones on her arms, just to give her a little bit more independence, which is something she craves.
Yeah. I know she spoke to you before you came to see us here at Sky to do the interview.
She did,
How is she today?
She's OK. Yesterday she was uncomfortable because her skin's healing where she's had grafting. And she did want to get the message out to everyone. The vaccination rate post-COVID for children has dropped off significantly. And she just wanted to get the message over that get vaccinated. I mean, obviously, Lily proves that it doesn't work for 100% of the people 100% of the time. But the meningitis vaccination programme in the UK has been phenomenally successful. About 15 years ago, they'd have 6, 7, 8 cases of serious meningitis, and some of the staff at Cardiff Hospital hadn't seen a case like Lily for 10 years. So it's proven it's effective, it works, get it.
Well, you've delivered her message loud and clear. Can I just ask, you must be so proud of her. She, like you said, ups and downs days, but she's essentially owning what has happened to her. And I know you'll be supporting each other. This won't be a one-way street, because it's not just Lily that's affected, it's a family, and you'll have to find this new way of living and moving forward. And there is a way forward, it's just different, isn't it?
That's well put, yeah.
So just a final thought, because as I said, Lily's watching tonight, her story on Sky News. Chance for you to say just how proud you are of her. Yeah,
it's pride, but she's a delight. I mean, we went on a walking holiday in the Swiss Alps last year.
Yeah.
Just her and me, you know. So she's just very happy to go walking around, looking at the wonder and the majesty of the Alps and having a nice gooey Swiss fondue and a couple of pints with her dad. It just doesn't get better. She's the best person I know. She's my daughter.
Stuart, you send Lily our best.
Thank you, I will do.
And I haven't met her, but I feel like I've got a real sense of her through this interview, so thank you for that. Like I said, she sounds remarkable, and I have no doubt that this challenge and the challenges to come...
absolutely,
She sounds like a girl that's going to take them head on, and I know with a dad like you behind her. Yeah, with a mum and dad behind her.
As has been blatantly shown.
Stuart McGarry there, speaking on behalf of his daughter, Lily. Still to come here on the UK Tonight. The Prime Minister defends what he says is a win-win EU deal after claims of a Brexit betrayal, plus 25 years in prison for the man who ran a multi-million-pound people smuggling operation. Now, Brexit was back in a big way in the Commons today as the Prime Minister defended his new trade deal with the EU. Sir Keir Starmer says it gives the UK the best access of any nation outside the EU and builds on other new trade agreements with the US and India. But the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, insists the PM has surrendered many of the gains her party negotiated post-Brexit, such as giving European fishing trawlers extended access to British waters. Here's some of what both had to say.
The principles we took into the negotiations are clear and simple. Does it drive down bills? Does it drive up jobs? Does it strengthen our borders? And in each case, the answer is resoundingly yes. These deals release us from the tired arguments of the past and, as an independent sovereign nation, allow us to seize the opportunities of the future.
When Labour negotiates, Britain loses. This renegotiation should have been an opportunity to improve terms for our country. The terms are improved for the EU. And the Prime Minister can dress it up as much as he wants, but he has failed. It is bad for bills, it is bad for jobs, and it is bad for borders.
Let's get away from Westminster, shall we? Our national correspondent, Tom Parmenter, has been to Staffordshire, where it's fair to say voters still have beef with the way Brexit has turned out.
Like it or not, the Brexit back and forth is making a comeback. After a new deal carved up with the EU aims to loosen restrictions on trade for goods like raw meats. Customer satisfaction with the whole process is pretty low.
If it can take us back, then that's fine.
You'd want to be back in?
I would want to be back in, yeah.
We haven't really had the real Brexit that we voted for, so it hasn't worked out at all, really. It's been a bit of a pointless exercise.
I've got a business, we've had to adapt and we've spent money over the last 4 or 5 years, so why do we want to go back again? I've invested time and money in it. It might not be ideal the way it is, but we've adapted to it now.
This farm shop is just outside Stoke-on-Trent, which voted strongly to leave the European Union. Now, 5.5 years later, the Prime Minister wants to reset the relationship with this deal aimed at improving security, freedom of movement and trade in and out of this country.
Come on, girls, come on.
Shuka's farm shop sells their own beef and local produce. They import some chicken from the Netherlands, but after Brexit, it became more expensive and too complicated.
It's a step in the right direction. It does feel a little bit too little too late. It's a token gesture for what really needs to be addressed. Without farming, without the fishermen, without local industry, our country has got nothing and we have nothing to offer to anybody else.
Andrew runs this farm. His business is based on meat, but he hates the part of Starmer's deal that sees the UK's fishing industry forced to share waters with European fishermen for 12 years.
I wouldn't like it, because I just worry about the fish, to be honest with you. You know, there's only so much quota there, isn't it? And why should we share it with Europe? That's our fish.
As a nation, we've been through a lot with Brexit. This deal, good or bad, is another stage of a long, messy separation. Tom Parmenter, Sky News, Staffordshire.
An illegal immigrant who managed a multi-million-pound people smuggling operation has been jailed today for 25 years. Egyptian-born Ahmad Ibid, who came to Britain in a small boat, worked with other smuggling gangs to bring thousands of people across the Mediterranean. Sky's Ashna Hurlak has this report.
Is that the only phone? No? Is that the only phone?
Within weeks of coming over to the UK on a small boat, Ahmed Ibid was organising for others to do the same. Originally from Egypt, he crossed the channel with his wife and daughter in October 2022.
He said he'll be fully compliant.
All the while, the 42-year-old was arranging crossings like these in the Mediterranean. He was the leader of an organised network that stretched from Libya to Ibid's taxpayer-funded home in West London. The National Crime Agency bugged the property after a tip-off from the Italian authorities. It was from here he masterminded a £12 million operation.
He transported approximately 3,800 migrants. We believe they each paid approximately £3,200 to cross in his boat When the vessels got to a certain point in the journey, they called the Italian lifeguard and were rescued. In the first crossing that we became aware of, there were actually 2 fatalities when the lifeguard rescued the boat.
Ebed was a former fisherman turned virtual skipper who called himself the captain. These images found on his phone show the scale of his exploitation of vulnerable people for profit.
He had no regard for the safety of the individuals who were being transported, and in fact were viewing them essentially as human cargo. There are specific incidents in which he discussed with associates that each person would need to give up his or her mobile phone, and that in fact, if anyone was caught with a phone, that person would be tossed overboard.
Ebed claimed that he was a low-ranking member of the network, but he was, in fact, a central figure. The judge said that he was callously and ruthlessly exploiting men, women and children. Ebed is the first person in Britain to be convicted of smuggling people across the Mediterranean. He said he was making a living, but it came at the cost of others risking death. Ashna Harinag, Sky News.
The Princess of Wales has attended her first garden party at Buckingham Palace in 2 years. Kate joined William, who, in a top hat, hosted the gathering on behalf of his father, the King. The couple met guests from a number of their patronages. Catherine, who is in remission from cancer, missed last year's garden party and other public events as she underwent treatment. Still to come here on the UK Tonight. Countdown to kick-off. Manchester United and Spurs fans have arrived in Bilbao for the Europa League final. We'll be hearing more from them with our sports correspondent Rob Harris, and find out where Leicester City are facing a potential points deduction next season following their relegation from the Premier League. Details on the way.
Over there, to your left. There have been airstrikes every day. Hezbollah are very sensitive about us showing any pictures, and we're being hurried away right now.
It felt akin to riding into some sort of Armageddon.
Many other areas have been hit badly. There are shells coming in every few minutes. Hear that whistle and that crunch? We know that they're coming from the south of the city, where there's a column of Russian armoury.
I'm Alex Crawford and I'm Sky's special correspondent based in Istanbul. It's trying to hit us. That's it. It got us then.
There's a lot of action going on, a lot of hits still.
We were the first journalists and the only outsiders to reach the site of the attack several weeks after it happened.
We found from the missile.
It's very difficult to see what around here could be conceived of as a legitimate military target.
Only about half a mile from the Turkish coast, a boat seriously overcrowded.
This is one of the most severe viruses in the world.
Clearly not had very much to eat at all, a lot of them extremely thin and very frail. Look at that sheet of flames, and that has happened within minutes, and now it's coming from both sides, and it's moving this way.
The world's largest falls now down to a trickle in places.
I can't imagine how much plastic is lying at the bottom of this huge lake. Whoa!
Getting up close and personal with a rhino.
This is what makes the job so fantastic.
20 clubs, 10 matches, one final day. It's Premier League Championship Sunday. Broadcasting and streaming live. The Champions League chase comes to an end. And Liverpool are crowned in front of the Anfield faithful. Premier League Championship Sunday. All starting at 11 a.m. Brought to you by Expedia.
Hello, welcome back. Rob Jones is here with me in the studio for a look at the sport. And we're going to talk about Leicester City. The Premier League have charged them with 3 breaches of financial rules for 23-24 seasons. Actually, do you know what? I'm not going to read all of that. This is what you're here to do.
Yeah,
basically,
fine.
Leicester City they had been charged with one set of financial breaches, but they got away with another, didn't they?
It's very complex, is the short answer, because...
I made it look complex.
Yeah.
You're going to sort it out.
I don't think we've got 2 minutes to get through it all, but let's do our best, shall we? 22-23 season, the Premier League charged Leicester with PSR breaches, profit and sustainability rule breaches. But Leicester said, actually, at the end of that season, and by the time we'd filed our accounts, we'd been relegated. We're a championship club, so you can't touch us. So there was an appeal from the Premier League, an appeal back from Leicester City, and an independent tribunal has ruled that whilst the Premier League, they think, could have punished Leicester, it didn't quite meet the threshold, so they're not going to. So Leicester are cleared for the 22-23 season. But now the Premier League are charging Leicester with breaches for the 23-24 season, even though they were a championship club last season. So charges for breaches for PSR, for not getting their accounts in by the end of December of last year. So there is still a chance that Leicester City can be punished, possibly with a points deduction at the start of the next championship season, because, of course, they've been relegated again back from the Premier League to the championship.
That's a double
Any better?
whammy. Yeah, it is. It's a double. It could be a double whammy, isn't it? Relegated and then starting with a points deduction.
Exactly.
Well, we'll wait to see how that plays out. In the meantime, a lot of people are going to be thinking, hang on a second, how comes Leicester and their situation has been sort of wrapped up relatively quickly? And you look at Manchester City, and in comparison, very little movement on that.
Yeah, and this is a question actually I get asked a lot, and I think they're two very different cases. So Premier League clubs are permitted to lose £105 million over the course of 3 seasons. So you put your accounts in and the numbers are there. You've either passed or you've failed. Now, clubs can put mitigating circumstances in, but if you fail, you're liable for something like a points deduction. We saw it with Nottingham Forest, we saw it with Everton, we might now see it with Leicester. City's charges are very different to that, so it takes a lot longer to prove. Some of the charges are for them not cooperating, which makes it even longer to prove, so that is why it is taking such a long period of time. They've got an important game on the pitch as well tonight, and they're in front at the moment. Let's have a look at the day's sport.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
Patrick, let's go back to the start of your time here at Genoa. You took over in mid-season. It's the first time you've done that as a coach. Talk to us about the journey that you've had and the pride at the achievement of securing safety this season in Serie A.
It was a big challenge. It was a big task. And of course, I take time to make a decision because knowing the difficulties to go to a club in a mid-season with a huge challenges on the field because the result wasn't the best, challenges with injuries because the group of players had a couple of injuries and important players, and of course huge challenges because of the stability of the club outside of the field. So when you put all together...
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Well, actually, we're going to have some more build-up to it right now. We're going to head back to Bilbao in Spain. Manchester United and Tottenham fans have descended on the city ahead of that Europa League final, which is, of course, taking place tomorrow night. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris is in amongst them. And I was hearing that you were struggling to find some Spurs fans, but I hear you've located some.
Yes, that's because it seems the fans have separated across town. A lot of the Man United fans behind me. In the old town, Tottenham fans have taken over a different part, and it's been a pretty miserable season for Spurs, and it's been quite a fiery night for Ange Postecoglou, the manager, in his pre-match press conference, because he took aim at one journalist who he'd read featured in his article saying that Ange Postecoglou is teetering between being a hero and a clown, and he said he felt very disrespected having spent 25 years building up to this point in his football career. He's won titles in Australia, he's won them in Japan, and of course at Celtic in Scotland as well, and now, throughout all the misery of this season, he can land Tottenham's first major trophy since 2008. But what a season it's been. 21 defeats in the 37 Premier League matches, just 1 win in 10, 1 place above the relegation zone. Fortunately, 3 worse teams, but the fans have still come out here for this Europa League final. And I'm joined now by Jim, Brogan and Brooklyn. Why did you want to be here despite all the agony of watching Spurs this season?
Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's an opportunity to bring my kids to a European final. It doesn't happen all the time. So hopefully tomorrow's going to be the day for us.
Now, you inflicted fandom on them from birth.
Yes, yeah, they had no choice. Their middle names are Tottenham, so we're not having any of that nonsense. That'd be passed down the generations. My family will always be Tottenham.
I think you would beat me if I didn't support Spurs, so...
Now, no trophy since 2008, and the worst ever Premier League season this for Spurs. Why did it gone so wrong?
Well, I think everything went wrong, including United as well, so I think any team tomorrow probably both don't deserve it, but it's a good experience to come to with Dad and my brother, so...
Of course, United just above Spurs, hovering above the relegation zone. Beaten United 3 times this season. Does that give confidence of a 4th time?
Not really, it's Spurs. We were Terry Bell, it's the truth. So.
You're never confident with Spurs.
Yeah.
Now, talk about your journey. How did you make it here to the Basque Country?
So, I flew back from Egypt. My kids picked me up in a camper van from Gatwick. We then went through the tunnel at 3 a.m. straight down here. So we've put it all in. It's probably going to cost us, tens of thousands to be here. But
tens of thousands.
Yeah, if we win tomorrow, though, that's how it is. It's what it's about. It's just I just want to see us win something.
How long did it take you then to get here? You started out this morning. You're still going strong.
Well, yeah. So what? 16 hours, something like that. We started last night. I think we've all had probably about 2 hours sleep apart from him. He slept the whole time and did nothing. And my dad and his mate drove the whole time. Yeah.
Well, enjoy the game if you can.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, the Tottenham fans are hopeful. Despite a season of misery, they hope for some of that fighting spirit from the manager Ange Postecoglou in the press conference tomorrow night against Manchester United.
Rob, thank you very much. Of course, the game not until tomorrow night. Plenty of fans probably still arriving by ferry, camper van. However, they'll get there by hook or by crook. It's the game to be at tomorrow night for Spurs and Manchester United fans. Time for a quick look at the weather now.
The ideal atmosphere, whatever the altitude. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Tomorrow is going to bring some much-needed rain to the south, with the weekend looking more widely unsettled. Many places will have a fine evening, but there will be a few heavy showers in the west. Hail and thunder possible there. More general rain will affect the far south of Ireland. That rain is going to move into southwest Britain tonight, while showers elsewhere largely die away. It's going to turn chilly under clear skies in the north, but some low cloud will affect Britain's north and east coasts. Southern parts of both England and Wales looking cloudy tomorrow morning with outbreaks of rain. Central areas will see heavy showers developing by lunchtime. Elsewhere, mainly dry with plenty of sunshine, but some North Sea coastal areas will remain murky. It's going to be cool there, and where that cloud lingers in the south, warm for most others. More of southern Britain will brighten throughout the afternoon, some heavy showers around.
Breathtaking views with clear skies ahead. Qatar Airways sponsors the weather.
That's all from the UK tonight. We're back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I'll see you then. But up next, it's The World with Yalda Hakim. See you tomorrow.